Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. Um, we made it to the weekend. Yay. I hope everyone has something delicious in their hands, coffee, tea, whatever you're sipping on this morning. I'm super excited to be here and share a little weekend practice with you to kind of kickstart whatever you have going on this weekend. For those of you who maybe are new or haven't practiced with us or me before, my name's Jaime. The purpose of these classes is just doing all the things that feel good. So, sharing a little Saturday morning yoga at the pace that you need can always feel good as long as the rest of your weekend is good. So, if you woke up today and you just are really needing some extra adult nap time, you're welcome to just lay flat, maybe put the playlist on, chill out for whatever you need. If you're not getting as much of a workout as you're wanting, feel free to ramp it up or add in whatever you're needing this morning. We have kind of a slow and controlled practice. It's a little overcast where I'm at today. And so I thought it just felt kind of nice to get a little cozy and kind of slow things down and get down into our body a little bit this morning. So, settle in. If you have a pillow or a blanket or something that you can use as we get kind of deeper into practice, just kind of make sure that that's on hand. You don't need it, but it's always a good option. So if you want to take a moment to grab that, feel free. So we're going to get started laying down flat. So just settling in on our backs this morning. Still working on my coffee. So as you start to settle in, I want you to put a hand on the heart and a hand on your belly. So just feeling that connection to the body here, but also allowing this placement of hands to create a little bit of awareness around how the breath is moving in you this morning. So before you start to change or alter anything, just kind of recognizing where you're at, how that breath is moving in and out. Just allowing this kind of connection of hands on the body to allow you to feel connected with the breath, connected in the mind, and just using this shape and this moment to kind of get really grounded here. Maybe taking some time to get any of the little wiggles or movements out of the way so you can really just give yourself space to settle in. Maybe slowly letting go of any of the things that you might have been carrying around with you this week. And just taking some time to create kind of this starting point of stillness. And we'll slowly start to put a little more intention to the breath here. Inhaling fully, filling up the belly with air. And then exhaling fully, letting it all out. Using hands on belly and heart to feel that movement of the breath in the body. Using this time to just kind of get very connected to the breath. Allow it to be a breath that creates a little bit of movement and energy, but still allows you to stay focused and present in your practice. As I mentioned, we're going to kind of have a slower and more controlled practice. So I promise we'll still do some movement. I think Jerry requested some chair pose, so I'll try to work that in. But if you're needing to slow things down even more this morning, just give yourself the space to be able to do that, to do what you need, to do what's going to serve you as you start your day. We'll spend just a couple more breaths here, settling in, maybe focusing in on an intention that you want to carry through your practice. The intent of kind of slowing things down and being really controlled about our movements this morning is really to just feel that sense of connectedness to the body, feeling strong and grounded in each shape that we're going to move through. So if that's an intention or a focus that can serve you, just allowing that to settle. And then we'll start to hug knees in towards the chest. Just taking some time here, rocking side to side, drawing little circles with the knees. Any little movements to kind of roll out the back. And we're going to start to move hands over to that right knee, hugging it in. And that left foot's just going to come down to plant. So we're going to keep that knee bent, plant that foot, hug this right knee in towards the chest for just a moment. And then hands are going to move to the back of that right thigh as you start to press this foot up towards the sky. So making sure to keep the shoulders and neck nice and easy and relaxed. Don't want to get all kind of crunchy in there. So just letting everything be easy. You can even have a little bend in that right knee if your hamstrings are still kind of waking up today. And then we're going to start to get really active through that right foot. So pressing actively through the heel, toes are coming back towards the face, lengthening through this whole leg out from that hip joint here. So you have the option to stay here if this feels good and makes sense. If you're wanting a little more, that left foot can start to reach out, so you can bring it down. Or if you want a little extra work, maybe that heel floats just a little bit. Feeling that little hug in of the core, belly button to spine. You have the option to stay. If you're wanting even more this morning, maybe you start to bring that nose up towards the knee. Hands can reach towards that left foot. But again, keeping the neck nice and happy. So imagining you have a cute little cloud pillow back behind your head that it's resting into, so that there's not a lot of strain happening in the neck. One more breath wherever you're at. We'll start to plant that left foot again, hugging that right knee in, head comes down to the mat. Pausing for a moment. And then bringing that right foot down to meet the left. Left knee's gonna hug in. Pausing here, hugging it in nice and tight. And then we'll start to move those hands to the back of the thigh. So same thing here, keeping it nice and easy. Neck and shoulders are staying nice and loose here. Maybe roll in the ankle, put a little bend in that left knee. And then we'll start to get very active through that foot. So pressing up through the heel, lengthening through this whole leg from the hip joint. Option to stay here, or maybe that right foot lengthens out. That heel can come down, or you can float that foot just a little. Breathing with intention into that low belly. Staying here, or if you want that little crunch, maybe hands reach. You can also bring hands back behind the head to help create that little cloud pillow happening. Actively pressing through both heels wherever you're at. One more breath. And then we'll start to bend the knee, planting that right foot, hugging that left knee in towards the chest. Both knees come in, pausing here for a moment. We're going to bring feet down to the mat, taking them to the wide edges of your mat here, keeping the knees bent. And we're just going to find a little bit of sway side to side. So arms can come out to the sides. You can find those cactus arms. And then we're just going to kind of gently drop the knees to one side, drop them over to the other. And this can start super small. Maybe you just barely find a little bit of sway back and forth. Maybe with each little movement, those knees drop any amount more into that twist. We're going to breathe through this for about 5 more breaths. So if it makes sense in the body and you want to pause on one side or the other for a breath or 2, that's an option. Or maybe you just keep that really fluid movement happening. And then we'll start to bring the knees right back to center, hugging them in towards the chest. Finding a little forward and back rocking. We're going to come all the way up into a nice comfy seat. Settling into your seat here. A nice big reach of the arms out and up. Bringing the palms together, hands to heart. We're going to move through this 2 more times here. So inhale, nice big reach. Exhale, hands to heart. One more time. Inhale, nice big reach. Bringing the hands to the heart. Pressing the heart up towards the thumbs. We're going to start to tip back on those sit bones, bringing the feet out in front. So feet can be down on the mat. Maybe you float those toes. Just a little hello to our boat pose this morning. Just waking up the core a little bit. Lifting that heart up towards the thumbs. And then we're going to cross the legs the way that feels the most weird and settle back into your seat. A nice big reach, hands to the sky. Twisting towards your left knee. Hands are going to drop down. Settling into this twist for a moment. Crown of the head is reaching nice and tall here. And that hand behind you is just a little reminder to keep the spine nice and long. So try not to lean into it, but keeping everything really solid. And then we'll gently untwist. Nice big reach, hands to the sky. Twisting to the other side. Settling back in. Still thinking nice and tall. Pressing those sit bones down towards the earth. Inhale, nice big reach back to center. Hands are going to come to heart. And we're just going to make our way over into our table. Taking your time to get set up. Once you're there, making sure that knees are stacked under the hips, wrists are under the shoulders. We're going to move through a couple rounds of cat-cow here. So inhale, drops the belly, lifts the heart. Exhale, rounding the back, pressing away. Moving through this a few times with your breath. Coming back to that idea of doing everything with intention. Staying really slow and controlled with your movement and your breath. And if there's extra movement that you're wanting or needing to add in, just giving space for that to happen. And then we're going to start to settle back into our table pose. Crown of the head reaching forward. A little hug in of belly button to spine. Nice flat back. Maybe you picture your delicious coffee beverage hanging out back there. So you don't want your back to become a valley. You want everything to stay nice and strong here. We're going to move through a few shapes with this next little section. So we're going to inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart, finding that cow pose. Tucking our toes. We're going to start to press the hips up and back, coming into down dog. Just for a breath. And then bringing the knees back down to the mat, rounding the back into cat as you press the hips back towards the heels for child's pose. So we'll move through this a couple times, keeping it really slow and easy. Rolling back into our table. Dropping the belly, lifting the heart. Tucking toes, down dog. Dropping the knees. Rounding the back into cat as you press those hips all the way back into child's pose. 2 more times, just like that. Moving through table into our cow. Tucking toes, lifting hips, down dog. Knees drop, finding our cat shape as you settle in to that child's pose. 1 more time with your breath. Settling into that child's pose. Knowing that this is a space and shape you can come back to at any point if you need to slow it down or reconnect. We'll roll back into our table. Tucking toes, lifting hips, down dog. And we're going to settle into this down dog for a few breaths here. So maybe you bend into the knees, walking it out. Any little movements that make sense. And then we'll start to put a bend into the knees, looking forward between the hands, and just taking a little stroll, hands to feet, feet to hands, forward fold. And then bending into the knees, nice and slow, rolling all the way up. Once you're there, big reach up, hands to heart. So settling in for just a moment, feeling the feet connect down into your mat. We're going to move through a few sun salutations here. So inhale, nice big reach, folding forward. Hands are going to come to shins or tops of thighs, nice flat back, folding forward. Inhale, reaches all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. We'll move through this 2 more times here. Inhale, nice big reach. Folding forward. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Inhale, reaches all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Last round, you just moving with your breath as it makes sense. Inhale to reach. Finding our fold. Reaching all the way up, hands to heart. We'll start to add on a little bit here. Inhale, nice big reach. Finding our fold. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Left foot stays, right foot steps back. We're going to drop that back knee. So if you need to use a cushion, blanket, or pillow under the knee for a little comfort, that's an option. We're going to come all the way up, hands to the sky. And we're just going to pause here for a couple breaths. So can you feel connected in this shape? Torso's lifting up out of the hips here. That front foot is pressing down and back, almost like the legs are kind of scissoring towards each other or together. Reaching nice and long, crown of the head towards the sky. Arms are going to reach forward. That right arm's going to stay. Left arm sweeps down and back, sweeping it down and forward. Right arm's going to sweep down and back, down and forward. Hands to the sky. Hands are going to come down around that foot, lifting that back knee. Any way you want to get there, it doesn't have to be graceful. We're stepping it back, down dog. So you have the option to stay here. If you want a little extra movement here, we're going to inhale forward into our plank. This first round, knees are going to drop. Heart pulls forward, elbows bend straight back as we lower. Untucking toes. Big shrug of the shoulders, baby cobra. Rolling right back down. Pressing back to table. Tucking toes, lifting hips, down dog. If it makes sense, right foot reaches up and back, stepping it forward, dropping that back knee, giving yourself some extra cushion if you need it, and we're coming all the way up, hands to the sky. Again, settling into this shape. So feeling that little scissoring of the legs, pressing firmly through that front foot as it pulls gently back, lifting the torso up and out of the hips here. So reaching nice and long, getting long through the arms, crown of the head. Arms are going to reach forward. Left arm stays, right arm sweeps back, sweeping it forward. Left arm sweeps back, sweeping it forward. Hands to the sky. Hands come down around the foot, lifting that back knee. We're just stepping that back foot forward, forward fold. Bending into the knees here, keeping that upper body nice and loose. Putting a nice deep bend in the knees, finding your happiest Saturday morning yoga smile. We're coming on up into chair pose. This one's for Jerry. He requested chair. So hands can be reaching up, hands can be at heart. If you're like, no, I don't like chair, then maybe your chair is a standing desk, and that's okay. Settling in just for a breath. Coming back to that feeling and intention of being really grounded and rooted through the feet. And then we're going to take it all the way up. Nice big reach. Hands to heart. Inhale, nice big reach. Hands are going to come to heart. We're going to start to shift weight into the right foot, and that left knee's coming up. So maybe you keep toes on the ground. Maybe it's just a little, or you bring it up a little bit more. Pausing here in the balance. Feeling solid in this shape. And then we're going to start to send that foot back behind us, stepping into our lunge. So taking a moment to get set here. feeling really rooted through the feet. We're going to keep hands at heart for a moment. So I just want you to check in with the low body. That front knee is stacked over the ankle, and the knee is kind of pointing through the second or third toe. So it's really nice and strong through that knee. And then this back leg is actively pressing back. So pressing through that heel, lengthening through that whole back leg here. Hips are square to the front. Reaching the arms up to the sky. Lengthening through the torso, lifting up and out of the hips. Arms are going to reach forward. Keeping the legs where they're at, keeping all that activation happening. Right arm sweeps back, sweeping it down and forward. Left arm reaches back, sweeping it forward, hands to the sky. Hands come down around the foot. Any way you want to get there, we're stepping it back, down dog. Option to stay, you can drop to table or come to child's pose. If you want to move through that vinyasa, we're inhaling forward to our plank. Knees can stay lifted. You can drop them again. Heart pulls forward as elbows bend back. Maybe you stay nice and low in this baby cobra. If it makes sense, maybe you press up any amount more. And then we'll send it back, down dog. Putting a nice deep bend in the knees, looking forward between the hands, walking or hopping forward. Forward fold. Keeping that bend happening, we're coming on up into our chair. All the way up to stand. Hands to heart. Inhale, nice big reach. Hands are going to come to heart. Shifting weight into that left foot this time. Right knee's coming up. Finding that moment of pause. Finding that little bit of balance wherever you're at. And then we'll start to send that foot back behind, stepping into our lunge. Same thing here. Hands are going to stay at heart as you start to settle into the legs. So checking in with that front knee, making sure that foot is actively pressing down, and then this back heel is pressing back. Arms will reach up. Bringing them forward. Right arm stays, left arm sweeps back. Sweeping it forward. Right arm will sweep back. Sweeping it forward, hands to the sky. Hands come down around the foot. We're just going to step that back foot forward, forward fold. Maybe grabbing opposite elbows, finding a little sway side to side. Keeping a nice deep bend in the knees. And then we'll start to release the elbows. With our inhale, nice big reach. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale and reach. Folding forward. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Right foot's going to stay, left foot steps back. We're going to plant that back heel. So as we start to come up, we're coming up into our warrior one. Again, pausing for a moment, feeling really solid and set in the feet here. So that back foot is planted, but still very active as you press through the inner and outer blades of that foot. And then that knee is still stacked over the ankle here. We're going to inhale and start to straighten that front knee. and then find that bend. So we want this movement to be really controlled, and as we're straightening, we're using all of those leg muscles to straighten it out. So we're gonna do kind of the lazy version for a moment. So we're just gonna lock that knee out and then bring it back. So instead of kind of jumping up into this shape, can you really actively straighten that front knee, keeping the legs doing lots of work here, and then find that bend. One more time, just like that. Inhale to lift, bending that knee. Hands are gonna come to heart. We're gonna start to find a little tilt or lean forward. So usually as we start to do this, our weight wants to shift forward, but can you still press really actively through that back foot as you find this tilt forward? We're gonna breathe here for a few breaths. You have the option to keep hands where they're at the heart. If you want a little extra challenge, maybe those arms start to reach behind you. Your little superhero cape, as Mickey likes to call it. You have the option to stay. If your low back is happy and you're wanting just a little extra out of this shape, maybe you start to reach those arms forward. Still pressing actively through that back foot. One more breath wherever you're at. Coming all the way up. Hands are gonna come down around the foot, stepping it back, down dog. You have the option to stay here. You can move through that vinyasa, that plank, lower back bend. Maybe you drop to table or child's pose. Maybe you pause for your coffee. Taking your time, no matter what you're doing, moving through it at a pace that makes sense to you. We'll come back to our down dog. We're gonna reach that right foot up and back, stepping it forward. Staying up on those back toes, coming on up, hands to the sky. You can keep the hands reaching towards the sky. You can also bring hands to heart. We're gonna start to tilt a little forward here, shifting the weight forward. We're bringing that left leg up towards the chest. So always the option to touch down on the way if you need to. Ending up with knee towards the heart, little moment of balance, and then both feet on the ground. Inhale, nice big reach. Hands to heart. Inhale, arms reach up. Folding forward. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Left foot stays, right foot steps back, planting that back heel. Coming on up, warrior one. And again, settling into this shape. So checking in with the feet and the legs, seeing how things are feeling, pressing really nice and strong through that back foot. With our inhale, straightening that front knee, finding that bend, keeping it nice and slow and controlled here. Inhale to lift. Exhale to find that bend. One more time. Hands are going to come to heart as we find that little tilt or lean forward. So again, making sure that the weight is evenly placed through the feet here, pressing through that back foot. Option to stay. Maybe you fly those arms behind you. If you want that extra challenge, arms can reach forward as well. Keeping in mind how that low back feels. Keeping the legs active. One more breath wherever you're at. Coming all the way up, warrior one. Hands are going to come down around the foot, stepping it back, down dog. Staying here, moving through vinyasa, coming down to table or child's pose. 5 breaths, your choice, movement or stillness. We'll come to meet in down dog. If it makes sense, left foot reaches up and back, stepping it forward. Staying up on those back toes. Coming on up, high lunge. Hands can stay reaching. You can bring hands to heart center. We're going to start to shift the weight forward, bringing that right knee all the way up to the heart. Pausing for a moment, and then both feet on the ground. Inhale, nice reach. Hands to heart. We're going to bring a hand to the heart, a hand to the belly, allowing the eyes to close or gaze to drift to the floor. And just settling in to this stillness, to this little moment of quiet, checking back in with the breath, checking back in with the intention. We'll start to blink the eyes open. Nice big reach, hands to the sky, folding forward. Halfway lift, folding forward. Inhale, reaches all the way up, hands to heart. Inhale, nice big reach. Hands are going to come to heart as we settle into chair pose. Yay, chair pose. Just for a moment, feeling grounded through the feet here. We're going to start to shift weight into the left foot, picking up that right foot a bit, and then we're just sending it back, stepping into our lunge, and then planting that back heel, opening it up, warrior 2. So settling in, again, reconnecting with the legs and the feet. So that front knee is stacked over the ankle, knee is pointing through the second and third toe, and then this back foot is angled in slightly, but actively pressing through both feet here. Arms are reaching nice and long. Inhale, straighten that front knee, arms reach up. Warrior 2. I'm just going to do the same action that we did in our warrior 1. So rather than kind of locking out that knee, we want it to be nice and slow and controlled. So inhale, straightens that front leg, finding that bend. If you do it nice and slow, you might feel a little burn. Inhale, nice big reach, finding that bend. Forearm to thigh, extended side angle. That top arm can reach straight up. Maybe you start to reach it forward, but make sure that the weight is evenly placed between the feet. So pressing actively through that back foot here. Coming on up, warrior 2, finding our reverse. Warrior 2. Coming back forward, extended side angle. Right back up to warrior 2, finding our reverse. Bringing it back, warrior 2. Inhale to lift. Warrior 2. Hands come down around the foot, stepping it back, down dog. 5 breaths, your choice, movement or stillness. Maybe you find that vinyasa. Maybe you come to table or child's pose. Choosing what you need in the moment. We'll come to meet in our down dog. Nice deep bend to the knees, looking forward between the hands, walking or hopping forward, forward fold. Inhale, nice big reach. Oh, yep. Knocking things off the wall. It's okay. Hands to heart. Inhale, nice big reach. Bringing hands to heart as we settle into our chair pose. Guys, I just knocked joy off the wall. That's the word that was up there. Welcome to Saturday. Settling into your chair here. We're going to start to shift that weight into the right foot. Picking up that left foot off the mat. And then sending it back behind us. Dropping that back heel. Coming on up. Warrior two. Checking in again with the legs. So feeling really solid. Pressing actively through that foot. Stacking that knee over the ankle. Arms are reaching nice and long. And with that really intentional movement, inhale to straighten that front knee. Warrior two. 2 more times just like that. Inhale to find that lift. Warrior two. 1 more time. Inhale to lift. Warrior two. Forearm to thigh, finding that extended side angle. Maybe this arm reaches straight up, or you can start to reach it forward. But still keeping weight pressing back towards that back foot. Coming on up, warrior two. We'll find our reverse. Bringing it back, warrior two. Forearm to thigh. Bringing it back up, finding that reverse. Warrior two. Inhale to lift. Warrior two. Hands come down around that foot, stepping it back, down dog. 5 breaths, your choice, movement or stillness. This time we're all going to drop the knees, pressing the hips all the way back, settling into that child's pose. And settling in a way that if it's a matter of stacking the hands over each other or using that blanket or pillow to get your forehead all the way down, just really settle in so that the head, the forehead, the body feels really supported here. Reconnecting with the breath. And we'll start to press back into our down dog. If it makes sense, right foot reaches up and back. We're going to step that foot forward. Keeping the hands down on the mat here, we're going to walk that foot towards the outer edge of the mat, and we're going to drop this back knee. So hands are going to be inside that right foot. That left knee can drop down. So basically coming into our lizard pose. If this is just your least favorite thing in the world, then just ease out of it or find a version that makes sense to you. You can always stack something underneath the hands to kind of lift out of it a little bit more. But we just want to get into that hip just a little bit here. If it's a little too intense on this hip, you can also angle the foot out about 45 degrees so those toes point outward, and that will alleviate some of the tension in the hip. So you have the option to stay here. If this feels like enough, you like having that back knee down, you can stay. If you want to tuck those toes and maybe lift that back knee, that's also an option. But just settling into the version that allows you to kind of get comfortable as you can in this shape. We're going to breathe here for just 2 more breaths. And then we're going to start to tuck that knee back up, shifting the weight forward a little bit here. We're just going to start to walk that foot in. So you're kind of in this wide-legged forward fold. So feet are on the wide edges of the mat. You can keep this folded shape over, maybe put a little bend into the knees. You can grab opposite elbows, if that makes sense. And then we'll release the elbows. We're going to leave that left foot where it's at. Bend the knees enough so that the hands can get down to the mat. And we're just stepping that right foot back. So we're coming into this lizard shape on the other side. So again, starting with that knee down. Maybe you angle those toes out just a little bit if that helps the hip have a little more space here. And again, just taking some time to settle in to whichever version you've chosen for this shape. You can stay with that knee down. Maybe you pop up off that knee. Two more breaths wherever you're at. And if that knee is down, we'll start to lift it. We're just gonna bring that right foot back up to the top of the mat, keeping those legs nice and wide, bending into the knees, grabbing opposite elbows, letting everything hang out here. We'll release the elbows. Inhale, nice big reach. Hands to heart. Just bringing those feet back in to hip width distance. We have one more round of standing postures with a little bit of balance here. So finding a nice strong footing through the feet, feeling really grounded. Hands are going to come to heart. We're going to start to shift weight into the right foot. That left knee is going to start to come up. So we've been here before, just settling into that balance, feeling really rooted and grounded through that foot. We're going to take that knee out to the side, and then we're settling into tree pose. So that can be kickstand, calf, or thigh. Choosing the placement for the feet that makes sense to you. Hands can stay at heart. Maybe you grow your branches. And just feeling this lift and lengthening happening through the entire body here. So this hip is hugged in towards the center, lengthening up through that whole leg. Torso's nice and long, crown of the head's reaching up. If your tree has a little bit of breeze, this morning, that's okay. If you fall out, just find it again. And we'll start to bring hands back to heart, bringing that knee back forward, both feet on the ground. Pausing here for a moment, feeling connected through both feet. We'll start to shift weight into that left foot. Right knee comes up. Pausing here, finding that balance. We'll send that knee out to the side, and then again, coming into your tree pose. So that can be kickstand, calf, or bring it up to thigh. Just try to avoid directly on the knee. Pausing here for a breath. If you want to find those branches, you can. Keeping that hip hugged in, feeling that length and lift through the entire body here. One more breath wherever you're at. Hands are going to come back to heart, bringing that knee back forward, both feet on the ground. Inhale, nice big reach. Hands to heart. We're going to start to sit into our chair pose. One last time here. And then we're just making our way all the way down to the mat. So you can squat your way down, you can plop however you want to get there, coming all the way down. We're going to keep those knees bent, hugging them in, sitting up nice and tall for a moment. And then we're just slowly coming all the way down to lay flat on our back. Hugging those knees in once you're there. Maybe with a little sway or movement side to side. And then we're going to plant the feet, so knees are bent, feet are planted. Hugging this left knee in towards the chest. We're going to place that left ankle across the right knee, so you're finding this kind of figure four shape in the legs. And you have the option to stay here. If this feels like a lot, it's enough. Just hang out. If you're wanting a little bit more intense hip stretch here, maybe you start to reach for the back of that right thigh, hugging these legs in towards the body. And this can be nice and still. If it helps to have a little sway or movement, that's an option. Keeping the head and the neck easy and comfortable here. And if you're wanting a little more from this stretch, maybe you start to press that right foot up towards the sky. A little hamstring stretch. Settling in for a couple more breaths here. And if that right leg's extended, just bending that knee, we'll bring that foot down to the mat. Keeping the legs in this figure four, we're just going to start to drop the legs over towards the right, coming into this twist. So arms can come out to the sides. You can find that cactus arm shape. Maybe that left foot comes all the way down to plant on the ground here. Keeping the shoulders melting or pressing down towards the mat. Just breathing a little extra space and breath into the side body. If you're in that twist, we'll just gently make our way back up. Bringing that left foot down to meet the right. We'll start to hug that right knee in, pausing here for a moment. And then just crossing that right ankle over the left knee. So same options. You can stay here if this feels good. It feels like enough. You can hang out. If you want that deeper stretch, maybe reach for the back of that left thigh, hugging the legs in towards the body. And pausing here before you add on or do anything else. So just really settling into the sensations and the shape in the body, allowing it to settle. And then if you want that extra stretch, you can press that left foot up towards the sky. One more breath wherever you're at. And then we'll start to bend that knee, bringing that foot back down to the mat. And then we're just going to allow the legs to drop over towards the left. So again, maybe that right foot comes all the way down. Hands can come out to the sides. Settling into this twist. Using the breath to create lots of space through the side. And in those areas that might feel a little tight or grippy here. Then we'll just gently start to bring the legs back to center, releasing that foot back down to the mat. If there's any extra shapes or movement that you need, just giving space for that to happen. If you're ready to settle in to our final pose this morning, just coming back to that shape that we started, laying nice and flat. Maybe you bring hand to heart, hand to belly. If you grabbed a blanket or a pillow at the start of class, maybe you kind of get really cozy in this last little moment of Shavasana. So you can cover yourself with a blanket. You can use it as a little extra cushion under the knees. But just starting to settle back into that stillness and that space and quiet that we began our practice with. If hands are on heart and belly, using them to feel that movement of breath. Maybe recognizing how it's changed or altered from the beginning. Maybe you come back to visit that intention or focus that you set for your practice this morning. Seeing if you were able to honor what you needed in the moment. Maybe if there's a piece of that intention that can carry you into your weekend as a reminder to maybe slow down or feel connected, take a moment of pause, just allowing that to settle in the mind and the heart. In these last few moments of stillness and quiet, can you allow the body and the mind to release and relax just a little bit more? Allowing the breath to be the only movement, gently kind of nudging away those thoughts or tasks or to dos that might be starting to creep back in to your mind. And just savoring this little moment of stillness and quiet at the end of our week as we head into our weekend. And we'll gently start to allow the breath to deepen in the body. You can find a little sway of the head side to side, small movements in fingers and toes. Taking your time to kind of wake everything back up. As you're ready, rolling to either side, pausing there for as long as you need to, and then at your own pace, making your way to a comfortable seat. Eyes closed, hands at heart center. I want to thank you all so much for rolling out of bed and rolling out your mats with me this morning to start our weekend with a little movement, stillness, and community. The light within me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Awesome. Again, thank you all so much for joining me this morning, watching me knock my wall decor off the wall. Joy came crashing down. But I really do appreciate and enjoy and love spending these Saturday morning coffee moments with this community. So I'm grateful for all of you that came to practice with me from your living room or your home, or maybe outdoors, wherever you were practicing. If you want to donate, you feel inclined, the information is in the link for this class and on our webpage. So we greatly appreciate anything you feel like sharing. We have a couple classes that are going to be opening up for registration this weekend. So tomorrow at noon, we'll have registration for Rogue opening, and that class will be on the 13th, so next weekend. And then for any Vancouver yogis, our first class, live class in Vancouver, will also be on the 13th. So registration for that will be opening tomorrow, and that's going to be at Fortside Brewing. So if you're interested, keep an eye out for those to go live so you can grab your spot. As we've mentioned, we're going to just keep this in-person moments happening as long as we can for those outdoor spaces. So just send all of your happy weather dances to the sky so that we can have weather that's nice and lovely as long as possible. But again, just thank you for sharing space and sharing your practice with me. Good morning. Hello, Lori. Hello, Brooke. Jerry, I hope you got all the chair posts that you that you needed this morning. Thank you, Susan. Thank you all so much for being here and for sharing this practice. I hope everyone has a really beautiful weekend. And cheers. Thanks all.